Hello, everyone. We are Group 2 in Heejung's Section 1 of his Intro to Marketing. We will be covering Delta Airlines. My name is Caden Bast.
My name's Anya Hyatt.
And my name's Jen Burick.
So just a quick overview of what we're going to be talking about. We did a little research on Delta's history, which leads into an environmental analysis, as well as the marketing plan, including objectives, targets, and sustainability. A marketing mix, SWOT analysis, case study of Delta's competitors, and then an introduction and analysis of our new idea.
Delta has a history that has spanned almost 100 years, and they began as Huff Dallin Dusters, which at the time was, in 1925, was the largest privately owned agricultural fleet. And later they were bought out in 1928 and began operating as Delta Airlines in 1934. In 1942, they modified over 1,000 aircraft to help with the war effort, and jumping to the 1970s, Delta was the first to offer their own air express service. And in more modern times, they were the sponsor for the 2002 Winter Olympic Games that were held in Salt Lake City. And they became the first airline to own their own oil refinery to produce their own jet fuel. So there are many factors that affect Delta Airlines as a company, and any economic slowdown can affect the airline directly. Both the airline and passengers have had to cut costs, and their purchasing power has changed, so there isn't enough money to be spent on flying and traveling. And then social factors include the socioeconomic status of the traveler, and social elements are also behind the demand for traveling. So if there's no demand for traveling, then there isn't going to be anyone flying. There is a valuable connection between the airline and the population, between the population and the business. So competition in the airline industry is extremely fierce and robust, and it is also continuously growing. Small airlines have been growing and improving their market share since 2000, which adds to the competition. And then technology has become more significant now than it ever was before. Innovation is needed for eco-friendliness, range, and comfort. Delta declared it would be going carbon neutral in March of 2020. So for the global factors, there are laws and limitations that prevent any airline from having flights to any destination travelers want. So as a result, Delta has partnerships with different foreign carriers, and these partnerships are as efficient as single carriers that have seamless service. And they are able to offer customers attractive offerings that they would not be able to offer if they were a single carrier in foreign countries.
Okay, so talking about Delta's marketing plan regarding their objectives and performance. Currently, they're coming back. They're making a big rebound from the main COVID-19, kind of COVID-19's prime, when the whole airline business was going down and everyone's performance was suffering on a larger scale. Aside from that, they did make a 5.8% revenue change from the previous year. They were able to get their profits up, so that's beneficial. And currently in the COVID-19 age, aside from everything, they're fighting, they have the benefit of being top rated for their COVID-19 safety measures. And then being able to kind of segment to their customers. They offer a wide range of different, what they call flying experiences, which are just kind of the length of flights, what seats you're getting on each of those length of flights, kind of depending on price and certain services. And now talking about Delta's target market and their segmentation, their way to segment the different customers. They use a mass targeting method, so they can target their with those different flying experiences. They're able to target people in the lower class who are just kind of ticket to get by, can barely afford it, but need to fly, need to travel. And then with those different flying experiences, there are five different levels of cabins, and kind of they come with different flight accommodations, ranging from the Delta one, all the way down to Delta Comfort Plus, and then the first class, and then the primary normal economy. Using these different price ranges, they're able to target those different segments, um, able to really broaden their horizons on who they're targeting, and that means mass profits for them. Now, talking about their sustainability and ethics, like Jen said before, as of February, Delta committed to committing $1 billion in order to become the first carbon neutral airline, beginning in March. So right before COVID hit, kind of a bad spot to do that. But over that, what they said was a 10-year plan. They vowed to cap greenhouse gas emissions at what were their 2012 levels, so going no further than that. And then with that, retiring 210 older aircrafts, and with more than 2 planes, I believe 315 planes that are 24 or 25% more fuel efficient, and will replace those retired to help towards that goal. Aside from all this, it is difficult for the entire airline business to promote themselves as being for the earth, but nevertheless, people need to travel. Now talking about the 4 Ps, the marketing mix, the main product is their intangible service, being able to fly people around the world, taking them to different places, dropping them off, flying them back. And then their tangible service is that is the entire flight experience, being in the plane, getting different services, food, accommodations, lounges, seat, and the actual service that stewards are presenting to you. And then the next step of that segmentation process and how they vary it themselves is their price. Very key in engaging certain customers. Like I said, it's very broad. They're able to target lots of people through that large price range that can attract all those different classes. And then through this, they're able to keep their pricing solidified and constant. So if there's any big drops in the stocks, entire market, whatever the case, like COVID-19, they're able to use their fuel hedging strategy, which keeps prices steady. Now talking about their placing, they currently have a network of over 300 destinations globally. Able to get you're able to reach 50 different countries when you're flying Delta. You can see on that map here. And then this uses advertising and targeting through travel websites. They're using cookies and other online tracking. And then with those major hubs that help them get all over the world, that's why they're able to use different planes, different parts of the world. Those hubs include Los Angeles, New York, London, Paris, Tokyo, and quite a few others. Now talking about their promotion, how they promote themselves, and how they get the word out, what their product is using heavy physical and digital advertising promotion. Anywhere you go, major cities, you're most likely going to see quite a few airline ads, but Delta is one of them. These ads connect to the consumers' use of travel websites, such as airlines, airport sites, hotel general travel sites, and plenty of pop-ups. And then through those cookies, they're able to track people, keep targeting them. And then physically, in person, they promote through billboards, banners, and then using other sponsorships, including the 6 MLB teams, the US Olympic teams, quite a few others.
So looking into Delta's SWOT analysis, which is analyzing their strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, Delta clearly has a lot of strengths as they do lead this extremely competitive industry that is the airline industry. One of their strengths is simply this leading position. 2018 DOT data stated that they carried about over 152 million passengers, which is quite a few. And they're also able to keep this position by priding themselves in their strong business customer relationships. And this comes with their image for reliability, customer loyalty, and the benefits that they're able to offer them. They're good service, many options, and those options that they're able to get through their customer segmentation. Another strength is their high profit margins. As of the end of 2020, even through a year of COVID, they led with a gross PM of about 71%, which is very good compared to competition. They also have a large fleet size, and as Kaden talked about, their networking, they have about 300 different destinations that reach 50 countries. That's pretty large. They have about 700 aircraft, which are purchased and owned by Delta and have concurrent partnerships with regional carriers. And they also branch out into joint venture alliances with foreign companies to further expand their global reach. And some of those include Virgin Atlantic, Air France, Aeromexico, Virgin Australia, and so on. And lastly is just their brand recognition. They have a very clean logo, and people are able to associate that with a good flying experience, which is very important. And they advertise this brand through digital marketing, and they also reach out and make travel partnerships with other well-known travel brands like Airbnb and Lyft to further get that out into their traveling market. Some of their weaknesses are that they're over-reliant on the North American market. While they do have a lot of global outreach, they are very reliant as they are a US-based company. And while that's a good thing, it's also a bad thing because it exposes them to that country's environmental influences, which for us can be quite negative sometimes, especially this year with the response to the pandemic and all of the political forces that were going on. The airlines took a huge hit, and Delta saw that especially. They also have very expensive ticket prices compared to their competition, and that provides a challenge to draw a wider market range, which is something that Delta could work on. And they also struggle with high debt obligations and kind of a poor financial reputation. They had a bit of a financial trouble stint in the mid 2000s, and they have racked up about $3.7 billion of long-term debt as of 2016. That is only growing. Some of their opportunities are their Sky Miles program that rewards their loyal customers. And they have complete control over this with no expiration dates on the miles that they provide. And it also goes towards creating a good brand image. There's also just the increase in demand for air travel and a generational influence as Gen Z and millennials, which are the up and coming young and mid adults who are traveling right now, are more likely to spend money on more expensive tickets to go places. And I can predict another increase once COVID starts to wrap up and travel becomes more of a thing. And I think Delta would be wise to take advantage of that. And also just the digital marketing aspect. As technology grows, Delta has done a good job adapting to marketing through the digital platforms. And lastly are their threats. Obviously, the airline industry, as we've talked about, is a very competitive industry. And while that can be a good thing, there's always competition, and Delta just needs to best figure out how to continue to come out on top. There are their financial threats, such as high regulation, tax burdens, and increase in operational costs. A big one with this is fuel and raw materials, as well as labor costs. And Delta's seen about a $4 billion increase between 2017 and 2018, which was huge. And then there's also the obvious, the global pandemic. Airlines took a huge hit in terms of travel. People didn't want to travel. They didn't feel safe. So it would be beneficial for Delta to really just accommodate to their passengers' safety and levels of comfort through this difficult time. And this is just a summary of all of the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats.
Okay, so that competitionals case study that Anya talked about, that main product, so we're comparing Delta versus one of their largest competitors, especially in the entire American market, so being in form of Southwest. The main product for Southwest is they don't really have any differentiation. They aren't really segmenting to other markets, targeting a larger scale of people, such as Delta is, whereas Delta is lots of differentiation They're reaching 50 countries while Southwest is reaching only 15, all closer to the US. Delta's over national waters, and they're doing a better job of getting the reach out.
So our new service idea for Delta is to have better accessible in-flight Wi-Fi because technology is always changing. Companies should be able to change with it. So with that, we have 4 main objectives. The first is customer loyalty. We believe customers are more likely to continue to fly with Delta if they know they will always have accessible Wi-Fi that can keep them connected with the world below. Delta's customers already know the quality of their service, but having this added bonus would convince them to stay. The second objective is to earn more profits. This option would help to attract more customers, which grows profits. And if they have different levels of Wi-Fi, that if there is some certain fees, that would also bring in more money. The third is branching out to a different demographic. Having this easily accessible Wi-Fi would appeal to younger audiences who are more in tune with technology. And the final objective is to stand out in a very competitive industry. With this plan, Delta would be able to pull away from the rest of the airlines, which would mean they would be able to attract more customers this way, and which helps, again, with profits and their different demographics.
Okay, so diving into that promotion mix again, the 4 Ps for this new plan. The main product is that new extended accessible Wi-Fi to Delta's consumers. Varying length, strength, and the speed of signals is going to be a little bit different on certain flights through various differences. And then that product is being able to cater to all those different segments of customers that I talked about, certain satisfactions. Some people have different needs and so on. So now going into their pricing, this is going to be a big deal. Pricing is going to be vital while they update those plans in that carbon neutral plan, and also moving quickly, as they don't want customers getting on certain planes having an experience with Wi-Fi, then flying back or buying another ticket with Delta on the assumption that they're going to get that Wi-Fi, and then there is none. They can lose a customer. They'll lose them to a different airline who are also advancing or attempting to advance. And then the Wi-Fi routers are going to be on most of the planes. It can vary on different flight lengths. They're going to prioritize longer flights for those who are on a longer flight, because they're going to be more bored, etc. And then talking about promotion for this new idea, being a new type of Wi-Fi on the planes, new Wi-Fi plan, makes sense that it's going to be mostly online. They can use most of Delta's current promotion mix, but the big thing that we came up with is that a pulsing method would be good. Right away they want to introduce it as big, broad. This is the new thing we have, but then always have it in the background. New customers aren't going to always flock right away. Newer customers will come in at a later time. They won't be as aware, so that's when they're going to want to pulse up. And then talking about the public relations side of the promotion, they're going to want to be putting in place certain surveys to measure how they're doing. They're going to want to invest more, but then more importantly, they want to have that data to give to the stakeholders, satisfy them, keep them with them. Yeah. And then the big thing about this, for pricing in the promotion mix, it can vary. We can name variants. We can name them after the various classes, the 5 different flying experiences, and then 3 different prices, if not free, for certain classes, length, and how good that signal is.
So when thinking about the factors for implementation and evaluation of success with this idea, we thought it would be important to start by hiring a team who would be best equipped to handle the transition into a more upgraded Wi-Fi system. That would include hiring IT, technologically professional people, and an implementation management team to make sure that the marketing is going smoothly and that the implementation is going smoothly. So when implementing a new idea, it's also important to understand the current systems. Obviously, in-flight Wi-Fi is already a thing to a limited extent, and that's because of air-to-ground and satellite methods that the plane employs. And so that is provided by antennae on the top and bottom of the airplane that are able to pick up signals from ground towers and satellites that are orbiting the Earth. And the plane is equipped with modems to convert those connectivity signals into Wi-Fi for the customers or for the passengers. So it's important when thinking about implementation to think about the developing tech and research that is being done for the possibilities in the future for this. And something to consider is the Starlink satellite internet plan that is being implemented by Elon Musk and the SpaceX program at the moment. It is their goal to be launching tens of thousands of satellites into Earth's orbit to be able to create more of a satellite internet connection for the whole world. And that alone would make this idea for airlines much cheaper. It'd make it more affordable for companies to be able to offer their customers, and it would create better connections for those Wi-Fi connections that the plane is picking up because of more expansive coverage in space. And then there are just communications and installation processes that Delta has to consider. It would be best to work with the best suppliers, so they need to continue communicating with those connectivity suppliers to be able to work with the best ones and create partnerships there. Thinking about safety evaluation, obviously, they need to make sure that this new Wi-Fi system would not interfere with any of the plane's processes or what makes it safe for the plane to run. And then they need hardware systems and the infrastructure to make sure that the cabin is able to house such technology. And the reason for all of this is because Delta could use this Wi-Fi as a very big competitive advantage. Airlines are moving forward with these ideas. Delta has not yet. One of the only American airlines to currently offer unlimited free Wi-Fi is JetBlue. And they're able to do this because they have a partnership with Amazon, and their customers are able to stream Amazon Prime in flight with a option called FlyFi. And so if Delta were to go forward with this, not necessarily with the Amazon partnership, but to offer their customers free Wi-Fi, I feel like they'd be able to keep their lead and offer that much more to their customers. So when thinking about rollout and introducing this idea, as Caden described, it would be best that this new idea would follow kind of Delta's fare classes plan or experience levels and just be kind of synonymous with those levels of service. And then Delta would be able to obviously advertise this via digital platforms, travel sites, as they've been doing a good job marketing in those areas, and just utilize the comparisons that they can have against their competitors as all of the airlines to follow go forward with this in the future. And this idea would also target the business flyer, as that's a heavy market that Delta targets. And so that those business people would be able to have a strong continuous connection for work purposes on their flights. And clearly, to evaluate the success of this idea, post-flight surveys would be beneficial, and just keeping an eye of online reviews of Delta's customers. And that's our presentation. Thank you so much for watching.